Welcome back. Our legal counsel, Charlie O'Hara, in the studio once again on this Wednesday. If you have a question, give him a call. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning.
Good to have you here on the set.
Nice to be here.
We are going to go ahead and get right to the phone calls this morning. A few callers on the line. Hello there. What's your question for Charlie today?
Hello?
Hi, what's your question?
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Yeah, Mr. O'Hara, I was wondering how hard it'd be to expunge a record. I haven't been in trouble since 1992, and I've been clean ever since. I got off paper at 1995 or 6.
Well, what expungement means is you can, and I think I've said this before on the show, but what it means is you can, if you're convicted of a crime and you don't get in any more trouble or anything, you can actually petition the court to have that taken off your record, so when you apply for a job or anything you do, you can say you've never been convicted of a crime. Now, that law has changed a lot over the years. For most crimes, you can get those expunged. Some crimes, depending on the severity and the type of crime, you can't have taken off, and it varies on the time. Some of them may be 3 or 5 years. Some may be 10 years. Some of them you may never be able to take off. So you'd have to check the law and check the statutes. But usually, especially somebody like the gentleman that called that hadn't been in any trouble since the early 90s and has stayed out of trouble for now 17 years or so, should usually be able to get that taken off his record so he can go in and tell people, I've never been convicted of a crime. And it really helps you kind of get your life back together and get back on track.
Right, of course, because that stereotype is kind of on you if you're going in for a job interview or something.
And we understand that people sometimes do make mistakes,
right,
and they're kind of stupid mistakes, and it may be an aberration that they never do again, and they shouldn't have to live with that their whole life.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. We'll go back to the phone lines. Good morning. What's your question for Charlie today?
Yes, Mr. O'Hara. I was wanting to know, I've been separated from my spouse for about 3 years, and it's just I've had to rebuild everything because we've lost vehicles and apartment and everything. So I haven't really had a chance to financially get back on my feet until now. And he's kind of aloof and hard to find. And what is the best way to get a divorce? Can I get an emergency divorce? Is there any way to do that? Or I'm just ready to get on with my life.
Okay, well, emergency divorces exist. I don't know that they would really apply in your case. They're usually done for a lot of reasons. It's kind of an emergency situation. When you've been separated from someone for 3 years, I don't know that there's really going to be an emergency there. The best way to do it is to probably get an attorney. Now, people are always scared that attorneys cost too much. Attorneys vary in price considerably, especially on a divorce situation. If you can't find him, you can always publish, which would be the notification in the newspaper, and there's ways that attorneys know to do that. What I think you need to do is go to an attorney, discuss the situation, see what's best to do, and then follow that attorney's advice. But you can get divorced, and if you've been separated for 3 years, it's probably time to get on with your life and get everything separated and everything done between you and your husband.
And in this kind of a situation, too, if there's not a lot of assets, can it be a quick process depending on the situation?
Oh, yes. I
Okay.
mean, the assets and children are usually the real problems. In addition, divorces tend to be quite emotional, and people will argue about the strangest things. Sometimes we'll have arguments about who gets certain dishes or things like that. Some people get into fights about the custody of the dog and visitation on the dogs. So it gets to be quite detailed. If people are reasonable, it can be pretty easily disposed of.
Okay, well, good luck to that caller. Thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming in.